So, and that was it. They gave their lives to these movements. They would travel all over. They would go to conferences. They would, but they were so anonymous, and deeply spiritual people. You could taste it in them. You could, and they were really servants, you know. And I was complaining to Lois one day about a group I started. And she smiled at me and she says, she always going, Jimmy dear, and here we go. It takes someone to start something, but it's the ones who come after that are the important ones. Walk away. And she shared with me how she had to detach from Al-Anon and let them, they have the 12 traditions, they have the print, and let them, all right? And I became, this woman who I dreaded while I was drinking, my great aunt, became my dearest friend. And riding in the car, taking Lois and her out for this. Oh, I took Lois Wilson. I don't remember the occasion, but I take her to an AA meeting. 93 years old. And she comes in all bent over with her cane and everything. We sit down and no one knows who she is, And they go around the room. I'm Joe, I'm an alcoholic. I'm Margaret, I'm an alcoholic. And she says, my name is Lois, and my husband was an alcoholic.
Did they know who she was then?
Huh?
Did they know who she was?
Then the bell would have, oh my God, is that, And she was very gracious after the meeting. She'd talk to you and so on and so forth. And I showed you the book here, my great uncle's 12 and 12, and she wrote to me, I'm so proud, I knew your uncle so well, I'm so proud to sign this for you, Lois, and stuff. My great aunt was 88 years old when she passed away. She was all alone. And I live in Long Beach here. I had her in South Nassau Community Hospital in Oceanside. And I had Lois's phone number, private phone number. And I called up Lois, and I'm trying to tell Lois in a gentle way that I said, Lois, Susie's in the hospital now, and she's taking care of her. And, well, what room is she in? I gave her the phone number. And I go there every day at 3 o'clock. Lois would call her, and on the phone by the pillow they would talk. And it was funny was when I come to the room each day, all of a sudden I noticed flowers all around the room. So I said, who's that? Oh, Lois. Lois sent Lois. She's sending all these flowers. And Lois says to me, Jimmy, do you think, I'll never forget it, she says, Jimmy, do you think if I send her more flowers, she'll get better? Oh, And I'm trying to tell her, Lois, and that's how my aunt just fell asleep, and, Lois wrote me a beautiful letter that I have a nephew in recovery, and when my great aunt died, I went to her apartment in Jackson Heights, which was an AA Al-Anon archive. In her closet was a picture album like this, and the dust was this high on it, and I got a garbage pail, and I cleaned it, and they were original 33 1/3 records of AA's first World Service Conference in 1950 in Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, wow.
The whole conference. And there was a set, there was records which were beautiful, of Dr. Bob speaking, of Dr. Bob privately speaking, Bill presenting the 12 traditions for group conscience, and, meaning well, I gave them to my nephew who lost this. I had Christmas cards that Bill and Lois would send to me. I gave them, he lost them. It breaks your heart, But Dr. Bob was the best. As I say, he talked like a truck driver from the east side, you know. This mug Wilson came out here. I straightened the old lady out right away, you know. But I love the part he says, which is really not true, but he said to the AA people, I am honored that you gave me this title of co-founder. But you need to know, while I have you all here publicly, that I had little or very nothing to do with the writing of this program. Bill did everything. And he would send it out to me. I'd laugh when I hear it. And I'd look it over and I'd say, I have no idea what he's talking about. And I write him back, I say, Bill, it sounds great to me, you know, whatever you know. He had the mind, he had the vision, he was 5 steps ahead of you. Mm. And so it's there that the 12 steps were officially a part of the program. Mm. You know, I asked my great aunt, we're having lunch with Lois and Aunt, and I said, when was the last time you spoke to Bill, saw Bill? And they looked at each other and they said the same thing. My aunt said, we were with him at the conference in 1970 in Miami, Florida. He was very ill with the emphysema. Mm. And if I remember his name correctly, his name was Tom Mitchell. He was in the Baldwin group. He was an old timer. And they were down there in Florida. They went to the hospital and kidnapped him. And they took him out of the hospital. My aunt said he had brown pants, a green jacket, and a shirt. And they brought him out. And it was a round theater. Now in those days in AA, even when I came into AA, when you celebrated your first anniversary, you got a cigarette lighter. Okay. They all smoked like hell. Mm-hmm. You couldn't even... and with AA on it, on the lighter, you know. And Bill came out, he looked up, and this was so beautiful. He looked around, and he said so simply, to all you AAs that I will never meet, that I will never see, if you only knew how much I love you. And may God bless Alcoholics Anonymous for as long as he may need us. Isn't that interesting? For as long as he may need us. Not forever. What you know? And he went like this. He threw a kiss and he waved goodbye. And Lois and my aunt are standing there. And they said, we were in hysterics. And he was dead 2 days later. Yeah, the emphysema. So, but, you know, like I said to you earlier, my relationship with him is secondhand, but mm-hmm. firsthand. Like the 4 Gospels in Christianity, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Matthew and John were the only ones that knew Jesus. Luke and Mark never knew him, mm-hmm. but they heard the stories and they wrote them down, and that's where I'm at. I might have met Bill once, as I said, as a young boy, because he had the 24th Street Clubhouse, and my grandparents lived on 24th and 8th Avenue. We lived on 25th and 8th Avenue. And my aunt would come over, Susie, to see her mother and 2 sisters and brothers, and they always brought people for lunch. Okay. And Lois and Bill are not going to turn down a nice Italian antipasto and stuff. And I have to be my twin sister and I were tap dancers. At 6, 7 years old, we had and he come in with Lois, and we had to do a routine, Sioux City, Sioux, and I said Bill was traumatized. He almost relapsed. You know what I mean? With these 2 little kids. Yeah. But I know him in my heart. I could see him, and there's a lot of stories I probably forgot. You know, that would come back. You know, like one story, when we read the big book, where Dr. Bob finally clicked into this. Mm-hmm. I told you, and he's going to carry the message. And he calls up Towns Hospital. And in the big book, it says how nicely he tells the nurse, I got this mug from New York. We got a cure for alcoholism. Get it drunk and put him in the room. We'll be right over. And the nurse, what they didn't put in the book was, and here's Dr. Bob telling me this on the, we got this cure for alcoholism. And she says, tell me, doctor, have you tried it on yourself? Your track record over here is a disaster. And he says, don't get cute, sweetheart. Just put the drunk in the room, you know?
Hmm.
But they couldn't put that in the
Right,
big book,
right.
you know? But that's how he was, you know, Dr. Bob. And it was a joy. I still cherish the many moments I had with, times I had with Lois and her kindness to me. I had to go out as a young guy and pick flowers with her all the time. Today I cherish it as a time. You know, when we would be there, when my aunt and Lois wanted to talk privately, Lois would say to me, Jimmy dear, you know, why don't you go upstairs to the museum? Your aunt and I need to talk. In other words, get out of the, you know.
Right.
So I would have to go hide upstairs and play upstairs, whatever I had to do, you know. But I was at her funeral. She was, I believe, 97 when she died. She was buried, I believe, in that church in New York City where Vincent Peale was a minister. And at the end, she was I could sense her loneliness.
Mm.
Because everyone that she knew was such a part of the AA and Al-Anon were passing away, you know. But, you know, what could I say? Through the grace of God, I got 44 years in recovery. I still go to my meetings. I have my 10 o'clock meeting every day. And, you know, I try to tell stories about Bill and Lois that Lois told me, you know. And many people are interested. Many people are not interested. You'd be surprised if they're not interested in the founding of the program or the founders and stuff. But I'm grateful to God that for my great aunt, I see what she really did, you know. And boy, she would travel all over for Al-Anon and AA, you know. And one day, see now a story goes, when they get started with Lois's sweatshop, that little room and stuff like that, my aunt wanted to have a meeting and set up tables, and the AAs wouldn't do it. Ooh. And my aunt went out on 8th Avenue to a public phone, and with 5 cents in those days, she called World Service, and she called Bill crying. And he says, Susie, what's the matter? She says, I'm in the clubhouse, and I need help setting up some tables and chairs, and the AA people won't do it to me, won't help me. And he knew what was going on. And he says, Susie, where are you? She says, I'm outside by the phone. And he told her, Susie, honey, calm down. Don't move. I'll be right there. And he got out of World Service. He took a cab down to the 24th Street Clubhouse. He grabbed my aunt by the hand, and they went in together. And he says, is there a problem here? Oh, no, Bill, what do you need? And he says, don't you ever do this to these people again. They're a part of our family.
Mm.
I remember her telling me that, yeah.
Mm.
You know? The AAs were very, you know, this family thing was starting, that you would be against us, or so, I don't know, whatever they thought. But she would periodically reminisce and tell me things of stories and stuff. You know, so I'm blessed to have known her and really known Bill through her.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So I mean, you told me now you started the
High Noon.
What else? Let me tell me a little more about your recovery, your sobriety.
Well,
like do you think AA has changed in the last
I think,
40 years?
Yes, definitely AA has changed with the drug addiction.
Okay.
With the dually addicted. The wisdom of the traditions are beautiful. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. I was at a meeting one day, and my group, they're fanatics that someone will identify themselves. I'm Joe, I'm an alcoholic. You don't say, who are you? What are you? What are you? They shove it down your throat. and I tell them you're in violation of the traditions.
Right. Yeah.
I said, once in a while I'll set them up. I'll say, my name is Jimmy and I have a desire to stop drinking. Or they go nuts. And I said, I was at a meeting one day and I did that, and I said, you people are violating the traditions by shoving that this person must identify themselves as an alcoholic. They're here to identify with the story so they can come to their own conclusion. The wisdom of Alcoholics Anonymous is they have open meetings. And why do they have open meetings? So someone with a problem would go there. They don't have to speak. They don't have to identify themselves. They have a donut and coffee. They listen to the speakers. They say, oh my God, that happened to me. Holy Jesus, that happened to me. And you peel away the denial. And so that person on their own can internalize and say, my God, if that, I very well may have a drinking problem.
Right.
I might be an alcoholic. But they have to arrive at their own conclusion to that. The group cannot shove it down their throat. And I said this at a meeting, and 5 people later, a man stood up and he said, this is my second meeting. And I want to thank that guy, because I can't take the pressure of you telling me that I have to say I'm an alcoholic. I don't know what I am. But they have to get away from it. Now, it is a reality. It is a reality that most of the people coming in today in the program are on both.
Mm-hmm.
That's a reality. And they're certainly welcomed into AA and stuff. What I try to highlight to them is this, the traditions and how they came. Bill Wilson was brilliant in studying the downfall of the Oxford group and all these other movements that came up. And he always said, we have to learn from them what not to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay? And when people come in, I personally have no problem with this. I was the time I was on drugs, so I have no problem with that. But what is your primary purpose when you go to AA? Stay sober. And do what?
Help another alcoholic.
Okay. Now I'm quoting Bill Wilson. I'm quoting him.
Okay.
The drunk comes in here, he don't want to be here. He's forced to come here. Out of pain, out of a court, out of something. His wife, I don't want to hear the mouth anymore. All right. I'm looking for a hook to get out of here. And Joe gets up and he says, my name is Joe, I'm a drug addicted, alcoholic, blah, blah, and goes on 20 minutes about his heroin. What does that guy say? Thank you, thank you, thank you. I never used heroin in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of here. Mm-hmm. This is not for me. I have enough stigma with my alcohol. I don't need another one. All right? And this, I'm quoting Bill. We have sentenced him to death. Whether I'm on crack, heroin, cocaine, whatever it is, I come here. I certainly mentioned it was a part of my, but my name is to highlight, how do we connect with the alcohol? What is it that unites us as a fellowship? Mm-hmm. That's what I have to home in on. Mm-hmm. If I went on a 12-step call and there's a drug here, I'm not going to tell him about my crack use and my heroin. I want him to, what did you drink? Beer? Oh, geez, I drank beer. I did, all right? I want him to identify with us. I want him to know he belongs. Mm-hmm. There's your first tradition. Mm-hmm. There's the 12 carrying the message to who? We are not a multi-purpose program. Now, my experience, and it's just my experience, I've had many people with good time in AA who also belong to NA. Mm-hmm. And when they come into AA, My name is Jack. I'm an alcoholic. They don't say I'm duly addicted, course addicted, happy addicted, whatever, all right? Because I know I'm here with my brother. Alcoholics, we have one thing in common. When I go to NA, that's it. Now, I had a guy I sponsored, and he respected the 12 traditions. And he's in the landscaping business. And he would come to AA. My name is Ralph, I'm an alcoholic. Right, do his thing. But he was in NA also. And he invited me to his 5th anniversary. Of course I go. It's an open NA meeting. I sit there. And I saw people from my fellowship. Hey, Ralph, blah, blah, blah. This guy got up and he talked. He told his story. I almost fell over. You talk about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Mm-hmm. He was another person. I had no idea this side of him, this dimension of him. All right? And then I understood. Now, also, you ask AA people, or you ask the NA people. Okay. Who started AA? Bill Wilson, Dr. Paul, blah, blah, blah. Who started NA? No. I did my own research. It was started in Long Beach, California around 1960. Jimmy Kay. He was a heroin addict. Mm-hmm. He went to AA, the poor thing he went in. And he said in his biography, I'm sitting there, I'm going on, and these, quote, good people of AA are looking at me, and I saw them. They had no idea what the hell I'm talking about. And I knew I needed a room like this, quote, for people like me. Mm-hmm. And he said something, he quoted Bill Wilson. You know, this misconception from rehabs that a drug is a drug is a drug is a drug is a fallacy. Bill Wilson put it beautiful with the drug addict. We are cousins, but we're not brothers and sisters. Now, I'm dealing with alcohol. What is alcohol? It's a legal drug. I can go to the liquor store. I go to the bar. I can't do that. All right. I'm living a completely different lifestyle. Absolutely. Okay? Certainly it's more, I would say this with empathy and compassion for the drug addict. Their life is more damaging and more, what's afflicted on them is beyond my imagining. I had a heroin addict, and I'm going to say this on tape, I had a heroin addict say to me, who goes to both programs, do you know how I got better from my heroin? I went to NA, and here's what a guy said. I had my 2 daughters go out and prostitute themselves so that I could have money for my heroin. Did you ever give anybody oral sex to get a beer? I did that to get heroin. Now, in recovery, I had to live with that, the pain of that. How did I get better? When I heard 4 other men in NA over a period of, say they did it. Because I thought I was the only one that could degrade themselves, and there was my healing. In 100 years in AA, I would never hear that.
Right.
So that's why Bill Wilson was right. We're cousins, but we're not brothers and sisters. And also, I find, and it's just my opinion, when somebody comes in and they're relapsing in AA, all right, what are you relapsing on? And they'll tell you marijuana, crack, a little of this, but I'm not drinking. We have a moral obligation to refer them to the program that would help them. When I say keep coming back, I'm going to kill this poor man, this woman. I'm not saying don't come here. I'm saying, if my teeth hurt me,
right,
moron, go to the dentist. But one old timer in NA said it to me beautifully. The reason many of them come into AA and try to make AA a multi-purpose program is this. It's too painful to hear these things. When I go into AA for my drug problem, I'm totally in control. Because I tell you what I want you to hear. And it's safe for me. Because I'm not going to hear the real things I did there.
Sure.
Okay? And many people will do that. That's just my opinion. I have never told someone to leave AA. I have many people who are cross-addicted or what. In time, when they ask me and I tell them about the tradition, I will see them all of a sudden start saying, "My name is Ralph, I'm an alcoholic. My name is Jane, I'm an alcoholic." Because they start to realize it. Now, I'm here this morning at an AA meeting. Tonight, I'll be at an NA meeting. Okay. And they're living the program, and they're really living the traditions.
Right. Yeah.
But it has changed. I am also, and this has come home to me personally as a Roman Catholic deacon. Because I do a lot of wake services. And I'm on duty Thursday nights. And I'll get it on my email. I'll get, "Jimmy, you got a funeral, Towers Funeral Home, Thursday night. Margaret Dunn, 24. I know what it is. It's an overdose. I'm going in there. And I'm getting more and more of these people. And it's so sad. It's tragic. It's an epidemic in America. There's no question about it. But I do embrace anybody who comes into this program and has a desire to stop drinking. But as I say, we have a moral obligation to refer them to NA or GA or whatever,
Right.
to let them know it's there. And they're coming here because they're hurting, and we just have that obligation, That's my.
Yeah, another old timer told me that Wilson said that we would kill a lot of people because we were going to try to help people that we had no business trying to help.
See, that came from social workers. I'm a retired substance abuse counselor.
Okay.
I was 30 years a counselor. I worked at St. John's Episcopal Hospital in Far Rockaway. 12 years in the outpatient program and 17 years or so in the detox unit. And these social workers, God bless them, many of them beautiful people, but have no knowledge of the 12-step program. And a drug is a drug is a drug is a drug. And they maintain that. Where I would always say, go to both programs. All right? And but most people coming in today definitely are on both. There's no question about it. And they got to be welcomed into AA. But just let them know the traditions, That's my personal. I've gone to a meeting the other day. My name is Ralph. I'm a cross-addicted alcoholic. Why? And that was the last word of alcohol I ever heard. There was a 25-minute drug-a-log. And what I'm finding is very interesting in most groups, and I've had other old-timers tell me the same thing. Nobody says anything. They let it pass.
Do you think that's good or bad?
I think it's very bad. I don't think you should embarrass that person, but call them aside or, because, in one of the traditions Bill speaks about, that all AA people, all of us, you all have become a custodian of the traditions, whether you like it or not. Okay? And he may be doing it. He may be doing it out of ignorance. But I have found most of them do it out of arrogance. There's a person, in my opinion, there's a personality trait of defiance